He laughed, pulled out his phone, slid it across the table, and said, "Call whoever you want." That one moment destroyed everything he spent 20 years building. Marcus Oliveira was not a man who lost ever. He built his company from nothing. Started with one small office on Faria Lima, 2 employees, and a dream so big people thought he was crazy. By the time he was 43, he had 400 employees, a penthouse, and a reputation that made other businessmen nervous when they walked into the same room as him. But power does something strange to people. It starts quiet. A little arrogance here, a little disrespect there, and slowly, without even noticing, the man who once had nothing starts treating people like they are nothing. That is exactly what happened to Marcus. His meetings had a pattern. He would walk in late, always late, sit down, and immediately make someone feel small. Not because he had to, just because he could. His executives had learned to stay quiet. His assistants had learned to look at the floor. And anyone who walked into that boardroom for the first time learned very fast how things worked. On a Tuesday morning in February, a man named Daniel walked into that boardroom. Daniel was 51 years old. He wore a simple white shirt, no tie, no expensive watch. His shoes were clean but old. He carried a thin folder and a calm expression that made Marcus immediately decide, this man is nobody. Daniel worked for a mid-sized supplier that Marcus's company had been doing business with for 6 years. He was there to renegotiate the contract. Nothing unusual, except this time Marcus had already decided. He was going to cut the price in half and take it or leave it. He had done it before. Smaller companies always took it. Because what choice did they have? Marcus walked in 20 minutes late. Didn't apologize, sat down. Looked at Daniel once, then looked at his phone. "You have 10 minutes, Marcus said. Daniel opened his folder slowly. He spoke clearly and explained why the current pricing was already fair. Production costs had gone up. Delivery times had improved. And their quality record over 6 years had 0 complaints. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't nervous. He just laid out the facts like a man who had done this 100 times. Marcus didn't look up from his phone. When Daniel finished, Marcus finally looked at him and smiled. Not a kind smile. The kind of smile that says, "I already decided before you opened your mouth. We're cutting the contract value by 40%, Marcus said. You have until Friday to sign." Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "That's not something we can accept." Marcus leaned back. His executives around the table shifted in their seats. Nobody said no to Marcus like that, not in his own boardroom. "Then you lose the contract," Marcus said. "There are 50 other suppliers who would sign today." Daniel nodded slowly. "I understand." He closed his folder. Then he did something no one expected. He placed his own phone on the table and slid it toward Marcus, almost like a mirror image of what Marcus would do moments later. "Before we finish," Daniel said, "there's someone who'd like to speak with you. You can call him, or not, your choice." Marcus stared at the phone. The room was completely silent. His first instinct was to laugh, and he did. "What is this?" Marcus said, picking up the phone and looking at it like it was a joke. "You want me to call someone?" "Who? Your lawyer?" He laughed again and looked around the table. His executives forced a smile. Then Marcus did something nobody in that room expected, including himself. He called. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was arrogance. Maybe he just wanted to humiliate Daniel one more time by dismissing whoever was on the other end. The phone rang twice. A voice answered, and the smile on Marcus's face disappeared. The voice belonged to Roberto Alves. And if you work in Brazilian business, that name needs no explanation. Roberto Alves was one of the most powerful investors in the country. He had built and sold 3 companies. He sat on the boards of 2 of the largest banks in South America. He was the kind of man who didn't take calls. He received them. And he was calling Marcus by his first name like they were old friends. Except they weren't. Roberto spoke calmly. He explained that Daniel was not just a supplier representative. Daniel was his brother-in-law. More than that, Roberto had been quietly watching Marcus's company for 8 months because he was considering a major investment. A partnership worth more than everything Marcus had built in 20 years. He had been doing his research, watching how the company operated, watching how its leader treated people. And today, Roberto said, he had heard enough. Not the negotiation, not the numbers, the laugh, the way Marcus had dismissed a man without listening, the way a room full of people had gone quiet not out of respect, but out of fear. "I don't invest in companies," Roberto said. "I invest in people, and I've seen enough of this one." The call ended. Marcus sat in his chair and did not move for what felt like a very long time. His phone was still in his hand. Daniel stood up, picked up his folder, and without a single word of anger, walked out of that boardroom. Nobody at the table spoke. Here is the part of this story that people always get wrong. They think the lesson is about connections. Know the right people. Watch who you disrespect because they might know someone important. And yes, that is part of it. Studies on professional networking consistently show that most major career opportunities and business deals come not from who you know directly, but from second and third degree connections. People you've never even met. Someone you treat badly today might be a quiet bridge to something you need tomorrow. But the deeper lesson is older than business. It is older than money. The way you treat people when you have power tells the world exactly who you are. Not your suit, not your penthouse, not your company valuation. The way your eyes move when someone less powerful than you walks into the room, that is your real face. And people see it, even when you think they don't. Especially when you think they don't. Marcus did not lose that deal because Daniel knew someone powerful. He lost it because over 20 years, while he was building his wealth, he forgot to protect something more valuable, his character. And character, unlike a contract, cannot be renegotiated by Friday. There is a quote that has stayed with me and I think about it often. It says, "Be careful how you treat people on the way up, because you will meet them again on the way down." Marcus learned that on a Tuesday morning in February, in a boardroom on Faria Lima, with a phone sliding across a table and a laugh that echoed back at him in the worst possible way. Daniel's company, by the way, signed with a competitor that same week. Better terms, better respect. Roberto Alves made his investment elsewhere. And Marcus? He still runs his company. But people who know him say something changed after that day. He started arriving to meetings on time. He started listening. Whether that change came from regret or from fear of another phone call, nobody knows. But maybe it does not matter why a person changes. Maybe what matters is that they do. The video you need to watch next is already on your screen. And trust me, you don't want to skip it.